Yeah.
Estella!
Hello, Phil.
Hi. Isn't Mrs. Maloney here?
She's in there.
I somehow didn't expect to see you so prosperous looking.
Well, you did expect me.
Well, it's always seemed as if you had to come back sometime.
Then you didn't hate me for what I did?
Don't let's talk about that, ever. You've come back. That's what counts. And you don't look as if you've been starving.
Starving? Boy, you don't know what that means.
You do?
Well, I had to lose 20 pounds to stay in the act.
The act?
Vaudeville, looking pretty and pretty little. Meanwhile, the other fellow does card tricks and swallows the community plate. Jack, Estelle, the Del Reys.
Well, sit down and take off your things.
I'll just wait a minute, catch my breath.
So, you've been an actress.
Well, that's what I tell the strangers.
But it didn't satisfy you.
Well, the more I saw of the stage, the more I thought of a real home.
And you kept wondering about Patsy, thinking of all you were missing, and not being there to watch him grow up, living and laughing and loving with him every day.
Well, you've had your share of that.
Thank God. That's one good thing about not having a lot of money. You can't hire people to step in and take away the most precious thing in your life, the companionship of your children. Why, with their society and golf, the rich folk are drinking skim milk and paying their servants to drink the cream.
Well, you look cream-fed.
Where Patsy is concerned, I am.
Well, now he's old enough to go to school.
If he... Oh, I dread the day. Other people between us.
That's usually the mother's line.
Well, I've tried to be both parents to Patsy.
Well, it's time you had a rest.
I'll try not to be selfish with him. But I'm afraid you'll need all the help he can give you.
What do you mean?
Well, I almost wish you hadn't come back looking so grand. I'm afraid, after all the excitement and luxuries you've been used to, it'll be hard for you to be contented here.
Me? In this dump?
We can't very well move.
What? Phil!
What's the matter?
You've got me all wrong.
Wrong?
God, I don't know how to tell you. I wanted to fix up about the boy and his schooling, you know. He's got to be looked after.
Yes?
And that's all.
You haven't come back to me?
Do I look like a fool? See here, what I mean is I've seen them all and I'm ready now to settle down.
That's what I thought.
Well, a big Los Angeles real estate man is crazy to marry me. He's going to pay all my expenses of the divorce and...
The divorce?
Well, from you. And of course I want to look after my child. You know, people shut up about it more if the woman takes the child. And Jim wants to put him in a swell boys' school right outside L.A.
Jim?
He thinks I'll feel more settled. Oh! Well, that's Jim now. He was to call and wait for me.
Wait for you? For you and your kid?
Well, we didn't expect you wouldn't have him ready before tomorrow.
Oh, the years I've waited for this homecoming, for the mother of my Patsy, for the creature of dreams I made of you when I thought you must be responsible for some of the light, and laughter, and sweetness of him. And now you'd stick him off alone in some school, just to keep Jim easy in his mind. Our Madonna. Our Madonna. Well, there, go. Go now if you must, from man to man. But my Patsy...
Sure, what's going on in here, Mr. Devon?
She had the idea I'd give up Patsy to her and the man waiting downstairs.
There's one barn every minute.
You mind your business.
Sure, I ain't got time for a joking just now.
Now, Phil, I knew you'd be a little upset, but just try and talk some sense. You know, you have always been an old dreamer with your head in the clouds, but you've never been able to afford a decent hat to put on it. Instead of hustling around and earning decent money, look at these rags.
Anything else before you go?
Well, yes. Look at these dogs. Look at your own seedy clothes and this room, and the rent is behind, months behind, I'm sure. Oh, I know it is. And look at the boy running around the streets and the slums with all these other dirty children. And what do you intend to do for him next?
Well, that concerns me, alone.
And suppose he happens to be talented. Suppose he takes to music, singing. Can you afford lessons? Or what if he takes to painting? Would you want to teach him to paint the way you do, or could you afford a decent teacher? I don't suppose you ever thought of that.
Thought of that.
You've done everything you could for the kid up to now, but more than your share, even. If you were a success, I wouldn't have the nerve to say a thing. But it's the boy that's got to be thought of now. You've barely made enough to keep alive in the past, and the future is not looking any brighter. He'll need more than this.
Well, I'd work my hands off for that boy.
You haven't waited until now to think of that, and look where it's got you. You'd cut your heart out for him, but what good would that do when his whole life could be stifled for the lack of somebody to help him along? And after all, it isn't as if we didn't want you to ever see the kid. I mean, Jim is reasonable. He wouldn't want you hanging around or anything, but he would certainly pay your way out to Los Angeles.
Merciful Christ.
And what she said now?
Oh, she's right. I can't give Patsy the right chance. I am a failure.